Hello everyone, welcome to Merlin's Manor. Today I'm going to be going over 10 highly thematic games, that is 10 games that really nail their theme. I was originally going to make this a top 10 list, but as I was looking at the different games trying to organize them that way, I just realized it was really difficult to differentiate as to which one is slightly more thematic, and so this is just going to be 10 highly thematic games. I'm going to get started with Trekking the World. Trekking the World is a game where you are playing as a tourist trying to see all the sights in the world. You are going to go to all the various continents trying to see the different sites. You've got different sites that you're going to go to in the form of cards, and those are worth points for you. And as you're going along the way, you're also going to be picking up souvenirs, which are going to be cubes that you're going to put into a suitcase or onto a suitcase mat there. So that's also part of the theme there. You're going to try to be one to collect the different continents as well, and so it's very thematic in that you are seeing the world and getting souvenirs along the way and seeing the various different sites. And so that is my first one I want to mention is Trekking the World. The second one is Mariposas by Elizabeth Hargrave, and her games are very thematic, and I have another one on my list in just a moment, but I'm going to start with this one, Mariposas. Here you are butterflies migrating from Mexico, going up north for the warmer seasons, and then trying to make it back before winter. And across the time, you are going to go through various different generations of butterflies, because the butterfly that started out leaving Mexico isn't going to live all the way to coming back. It's going to go ahead and along the way eat from different plants along the way, and you're going to collect those to be able to basically feed your butterflies as you are making new butterflies and going along the way. And the butterflies go ahead and breed, and on the milkweed they're going to leave to make new butterflies, and then then you're trying to get them all back by winter time. And so it's very thematic as far as following the life cycle of butterflies, their migration cycle. And so this is another one of those highly thematic games. Everything kind of relates to that theme. Next one is another Elizabeth Hargrave game, and that is Wingspan. And this is one of my favorite games, and it is very thematic as you are trying to get different birds to come into your tableau, and you collect those birds and you pay the food that they require in order to play them. They're going to have eggs along the way, and in different ways. You got different birds. Some birds that don't lay eggs on their own nest, but they lay eggs on other nests, and there's all kinds of different things that work into this game to make it very thematic as you see so many different aspects about birds that you can learn and see through this. You've got birds that are predatory birds that are going to eat other birds. You've got all kinds of different things just going on. You got birds that eat fish, and you're going to supply them with fish, and there's all kinds of different things. And you got brown powers that relate to how the different birds react and interact in different ways. So it is very thematic along the idea of birds. Go ahead and push these over here. I'm going to go ahead and get to Gloomhaven. Now, Gloomhaven is a dungeon crawler game, and it pretty much it's a fantasy-based game. It's in that fantasy realm, and it does its theme very well as you are fighting different beasts and all different types of monsters and different fantasy-related creatures. And so it is very good on its theme. You're going to be building up your characters, getting XP along the way to get stronger and more powerful. You're going to be getting gold to be able to buy things, and just everything around it. You've got that theme so strong in every way. And of course, I have Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion here. I highly recommend starting out with Jaws of the Lion. This is a very great introduction to the Gloomhaven series, and of course going into Frosthaven as well. And so I recommend this because it has a tutorial mode that kind of walks you through things. It's got some things that are simplified a little bit more. You can get your table a lot quicker because you don't have as much setup because it has the book in there. But this is a very highly thematic game. If you like dungeon crawlers, it's a great game to check out and get. It has Gloomhaven, and Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion is a great start. Next one, kind of along that same kind of theme for a moment, is Zombicide, and I have Zombicide Black Plague, and really all the Zombicides have great theming around them. You have one that's set in a modern day, actually a couple that are set in modern day times, And you've got one that's a sci-fi theme, and this one here is another one that goes along with that Gloomhaven theme, a fantasy world. This is going to be a fantasy-themed zombicide called Black Plague, and in this you are basically taking out a bunch of zombies, trying to accomplish various goals in each mission that you're going along. There's 10 missions in the base game. You can add some more with Wolfsburg, and there's a bunch of fan-created as well as official additions to that. And so there's a lot of theme in here as far as zombies go, as far as the fantasy world. You've got a lot of the type of weaponry that you would see in there, as well as different things that relate to the whole fantasy scheme of things. And so it is very highly thematic around both the idea of zombies and around the fantasy themed world. So that is Zombicide. Next one I want to bring up is going to be Terraforming Mars. And right here I have Ares Exposition standing in, but I'm really wanting to focus on the main original Terraforming Mars because it is more thematic than this version, as far as you're going to be doing a lot more things as far as you have a board and you are going to be placing cities down on that board. As you build cities, you're going to be placing greeneries down as you're building forests to increase the oxygen. You are going to be doing all kinds of things on a physical board, as well as putting oceans down. And so it's very thematic in the fact that you're actually putting those things on a board and you're able to see what you're doing. All the different cards that you're going to come across that have different things happening, like asteroids hitting and different things like that, building colonies on Phobos and all across the Mars itself and Ganymede. And so you've got all that going on. All different types of cards that relate to doing things that would be necessary in terraforming Mars and setting up cities and different things. There's certain things that you can only do once you have so much oxygen or so much temperature, because those things wouldn't really be viable earlier on when things are too cold or things don't have enough oxygen. You got other things that aren't viable later on in the game, and so you have to have them down by a certain amount of time, because once the oxygen is a certain level or the heat's a certain level, it wouldn't really work. And so that all plays into the theme very well as you are trying to terraform Mars, get it ready for life to be able to exist out there, and very highly thematic in that everything that's going on there, in the sci-fi theme and in the terraforming of Mars. Next one I want to bring up is Isle of Cats. And Isle of Cats, the theme here centers around the idea of there's this evil Vesh. It's a storyline here that you got this evil Vesh that's coming to take all these cats, and he has some nefarious plans for all these cats. And so you are trying to, before he gets there, rescue as many as you can. And in the normal mode of the game, there's so much that you have to do in order to be able to accomplish this. First of all, you go out fishing at the beginning of each round to get fish. And you're going to use those fish to procure baskets and other things that you need card-wise. And in order to actually lure the cats in, you need a basket. They're not just going to, you're not just going to be able to pick them up and bring them onto the boat. You have to have a basket to trap them in. And in order to get them into the basket, you're going to need to use fish in order to lure them in. They're not just going to jump in the basket for you. And so that all plays into that whole theme of you have to be able to do what you can to get them to be able to be on your boat, and then they kind of form hopefully different families on the boat, as cats would kind of stick together in their families, and if you're able to form more families, you get more points that way. And you have to try and be able to fit them on the boat. If you don't have space for them, you can't bring them. And so all of this fits very well thematically as you are trying to rescue as many cats as you can before Vesh gets there, and it all centers around that whole storyline. So I like how that theme works all the way throughout the game. The next one I want to talk about is Everdell. Now, Everdell has this theme of you are woodland creatures that are making a town called Everdell. And so in this creation of this town, you're going to have a tableau that you're going to be filling up with various creatures that bring certain things to the table. They may bring resources, they may do different things, and so you are trying to get these different woodland creatures to come and be part of the building of this town. You are trying to build up various buildings and to make this town better and stronger and more prosperous. Some things give you prosperity points because you've made it more prosperous by being there. Some things give you more resources to be able to build more buildings and different things like that. And so you are working together as a group of woodland creatures to build this town. And that theme, the animal theme, and that building up of the town works all the way through. And as you get different expansions to this, it adds even more thematical tie-ins with various things as you look and learn more about the building up of this town and everything. And there's a lot of storyline behind everything that if you want to read up all of that, they really kind of nail the thematicness in all of the backstory and everything, the flavor text throughout the various rule books that you can find. And so I really like Everdell. It's very thematic. We are getting tall here with our games. Next one I want to talk about, I don't actually own, and so I'm just going to put this dinosaur right here to represent Dinogenics. Now, Dinogenics is a game where you are basically building your own kind of dinosaur park. And it is highly thematic throughout the game because you've got so much going on, and you've got to collect the DNA in order to make these dinosaurs. And so you have to make sure you get that to make them. You've also got different things that go on, like if you aren't able to keep your dinosaurs happy for whatever reason. Sometimes there may be a breaking news event that comes along that causes problems. Something that happens that's going to cause them to attack and rampage. You might have two dinosaurs together that don't belong together, or you might not be able to feed your carnivores. And so all that, you have to make sure you're doing the things that need to be done and keeping things separate. Otherwise, they are going to rampage and either destroy their pen or eat a visitor to your park. And that isn't good. If you get a visitor eaten to your park, it is a scandal. And so you get a scandal token, which is going to negatively affect your park because, of course, if somebody gets eaten there, it's going to be a problem. People aren't going to want to come to a park with that going on. Plus, people are going to be talking about it in negative ways. Or there are other things that can cause scandals based on what you're doing in your park that might relate to a breaking news event, might relate to something you do, and it causes problems with other scandals, causing your park to, in a sense, get canceled because of that if you're not careful. Of course, you don't actually get completely out of the thing, but it does cause scandals to where you're losing points because nobody wants to come to your park because this is going on or that's going on. In order to get rid of that, you have to go to a certain place to kind of ease things up with the crowd out there so that you don't have a scandal anymore, so that people will come back to your park. And so there's a lot of theme that goes on in various different ways. You're paying to build up fences to be able to put your dinosaurs in. You're paying to get food, goats, to feed your carnivores, because if you don't feed your carnivores, they're going to rampage. They're not going to be happy. And so you got all these different things going on. You have some animals that do well together, and so you get extra bonuses for having more of that type of dinosaur together. You've got some that can live with both, can live with different types of dinosaurs, and they're fine. You got others that they want to just be in with their own kind, and so you have to keep them separate. You got brontosauruses, which can roam around. They don't even need a fence, and so they can roam free. And so there's a lot of theme going in and on throughout the game, and you get the expansion, and it adds even more thematic tie-ins and different things. And so it is highly thematic as you are trying to build your dinosaur park and get visitors to come see it, and you get money for visitors, and you get points for visitors and all that kind of stuff, because you are trying to become build up your reputation and be more popular and get that money from people coming there for that. And so it's highly thematic, and I really enjoy it. My final game I want to mention is Spirit Island. Now, Spirit Island is also highly thematic in that you are operating as these spirits on this island that for a long time has just had these natives living there called the Dahan. But now there are some invaders coming in, and they are causing blight to the island as they build up their towns and villages and cities and different things, and they are fighting against the Dahan, and the Dahan are being forced to fight against them. And so all this is causing issues, and so you as the spirits of this island are working with the Dahan to scare away these invaders. And you scare them away by, in some ways, attacking them with your different powers. Each spirit has its own abilities that is unique to that spirit. And some are more defensive, some are more offensive, some are more about causing just fear in general. And then you also get these major and minor powers that cause you to be able to do other things, some stronger things, that you get those major powers. And some are wiping out the villagers, some are just causing fear to the villagers. And then you have one of the spirits, it's called Bringer of Nightmares. And while the rest of the spirits, when they do their powers, are causing actual destruction and death to the invaders. The bringer of nightmares, he brings nightmares to these villagers where they aren't actually being destroyed by a tsunami or some other event that's brought on, but instead they're dreaming about it. And because they're dreaming about it, they get scared and they run off to another area of the island out of fear, and you're building up that fear track by these nightmares rather than actually causing the damage. And so there's a lot of theme going on in that, as well as you are scaring and trying to get to the point where you've scared the invaders so much that they just leave the island altogether. But if you don't manage to scare them off, then they are going to destroy the island, and you're going to lose the game. And as certain things happen throughout, blight is added, which blight is not good, and causes the spirits to be less powerful in some ways. And of course, then again, some of the spirits thrive with that blight and are able to use that blight for good. You've got a spirit that works well with the fire, and more blight that comes from fire is able to do more things. And so there's all different types of spirits that, and each one has its own things, and there's a lot of theme going on throughout the entire game. And so this is the one that on Favorite Game Friday I'm going to list as my #1 thematic game, but really all these games I mentioned today have strong themes to them. And I think you'll be happy if you're looking for a very thematic game if you go with any of these games. And so I encourage you to check these out if you are very interested in highly thematic games. This is my 10 highly thematic games list. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit that like button, subscribe for more videos, and I'll catch you in the next one.